You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Hey. It's one of them days. Welcome, everybody. It's good to have you here for the Wednesday evening. The Wednesday evening show on Quite Frankly, Westchester, New York. And I can't wait to get underway tonight because we've got a great guest coming on. We've got our good friend Lindsey Scharmyn showing up, and we haven't spoken to her on a 7 o'clock show in a while. She is an August book club co-host mainstay now. She's essentially got a residency for the Quite Frankly book club. And we're going to be talking to her a little bit, and I think that everything that's happening in the world in general right now, and what is now seemingly popping off in Minnesota, is all fair game. And I'm sure that a lot of that is going to be touched on in the after hour when we are doing the flip side tonight. The flip side is actually just me going over and doing the show with Matt Christensen on his channel. So that's what we'll be doing at 9 o'clock there. And I'm down with it. It should be a nice Wednesday night in January. It's going to go by in a flash. I already know it. It's already January 7th. Yesterday was the 6th. So that's what we have. So super chat real quick. Just a reminder. I'm actually going to be pulling a name for our super chat raffle tomorrow. Because you know why? The 3 silver Mercury head dimes that I put on the market yesterday, I'm adding a 4th one tomorrow. So you're getting a cluster of 4 dimes tomorrow. Wonderful pieces of history. Not mint, but of course they're time travelers, and you get to have them, and they came from me. I was the last person to hold them after all these years, 100 years of traveling around the world, and now they're going to be in your possession. And also a Shart survival kit. If you ever shit your pants, if you're ever driving through Minnesota or blockading ice in Minnesota, it's crazy. We'll talk about that in a second. I also wanted to say a big happy birthday to our friend Zim Harry. That's right, Harry's his last name. Zim Harry down in Texas. That is a big happy birthday from me, from Noah. So Harry's been a supporter of the show for a long time. Happy birthday. And also Merry Christmas to all of our Eastern Orthodox brothers and sisters out there. I got in touch with Jay Dyer and wished him a Merry Christmas, and all the best to you guys and gals. Yeah, we're just taking our Christmas tree down, and you get to bask in it a little bit longer. So Merry Christmas. I'll do a little bit more updating later on because so earlier on today in Minnesota, there was federal activity. I think ICE, it's immigration. They're going to work, and this woman, about a middle-aged white woman, I think she's a mother, very tragically got killed, but put herself in a situation where, it's messy, looks legal to me, still messy. It looks like she's impeding federal operations out there, and when the cops are trying to then apprehend her, and she wants to get away, she's trying to wiggle out and speed off, and a cop is right by the wheel well, and he popped one off right into the car, and or 2 off, and she's dead. She's dead. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I have a lot of thoughts. I actually have a friend of ours from the area who is writing into me. Said, hey, I got an inside scoop for you. We'll do that in the second half after Lindsey departs. I also have a couple other things to put out there just to kind of like color this one in. And really, it's just, what's the situation we're dealing with on a societal level? From what I saw, legally, it looks like it's justified. But it's just that we are at a fork in the road right now. And some people are awakening faster, and other people are becoming more and more lost by the day. It just means everything is going to require a little bit more bracing for impact whenever something like this happens. And of course, the violent response is going to happen. It's already started. So this one guy over here actually went to, I mean, this is how little, this is probably how just emboldened people are at this point, where they believe that something happens where it is a trigger. There is a social trigger that gets people to go nuts. And then, since 2014, when Ferguson popped off, and we really, it was obvious that the operation here on a top level was to tank race relations and to hamper the police and all that stuff. There's almost no resistance to anything. None. This guy goes and grabs a federal agent's weapon. Thankfully, it was just loaded up with pepper. Grabs the gun. I mean, he walks it off like a champ. Can't be a comfortable situation. Face full of pepper right there. There are also rioters are now, pushing their way into federal courthouses in Minneapolis and all that stuff. And listen, this is what it comes down to. This is a chance right here. They were always waiting for a reason. And all they needed in the past was a reason. And like some mayors around the country had said, what they do at that point is try to create a safe space for people to destroy and have some therapeutic destruction get wringed out of themselves. Well, this is where a new precedent has to start. Regardless of how messy a situation this is, wherever you're at, this flare-up, this social contagion flare-up, this has to be stopped right now. It needs to be put down definitively. No leaving room for therapeutic destruction anymore. That's it. So I would round everybody up and throw the book at them, and that would be it. Federal courtroom, forget about it. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on, only because it's going to be interesting to see. This is an opportunity to turn a trend around. Whether or not the Insurrection Act is going to actually be triggered, and we are actually going to see this no longer be tolerated. This woman was trying. There's motherless children out there right now because everybody was behaving shitty. Actually, she's behaving shitty, and you're dealing with law enforcement who everything is hair triggered. She's driving a damn vehicle, and I mean, hell, man, it's really just a matter of how do you put it down now. Because there is no seeing eye to eye. Nobody really values the life of who they perceive to be a political opponent on equal terms. We just got finished a couple of months ago watching people dance on Charlie Kirk's grave, talking about what he deserved. Okay, so you think, and then of course Ashley Babbitt, the guy who shot Ashley Babbitt, and there's tons of theories about her. I've seen them all. But it just so happens that like a day or two ago, the officer who pulled the trigger on Ashley Babbitt, apparently he and his wife are, they are in charge of some kind of a daycare center in Maryland where like tens of millions of dollars have flown through it or something like that. And so people are starting to wonder what the hell, if there's anything there. A daycare now anywhere is suspicious. But either way, that popped up in the news over the last 36 hours. So people were, fresh on Ashley Babbitt. Of course, it was January 6th yesterday there too. So there's no chance for any side to be compassionate toward a life lost on the other side, regardless of the circumstances, because nobody's showing each other mercy anymore. So the real question is this going to be a chance taken to set a new precedent for what is going to be allowed in American cities whenever something triggers pre-programmed battle bots to go into destruction and looting mode? Because obviously there's no real cause here. It's just, hell yeah, get the band back together. We're getting ourselves a TV. So we'll see. We'll see. Got a couple of minutes until Lindsey comes on. In other news, there seems to be an open door to Greenland, like a wide open door to Greenland to be occupied. Apparently, it's not even so much about, hey, name your price. We're going to give you $50 billion, and each of the 50,000 people who live on this sheet of ice are going to get $1 million each to call themselves Americans from now on. Apparently, and this was reported on by the New York Times, that there is Cold War policies. There's an agreement that was made during the Cold War that allows the President of the United States to increase American military presence in Greenland almost at will, because of course Greenland as a hedge against the Soviets, and now this is also about maintaining some kind of power and influence over the Arctic and being able to, be the X to Russia's O on this tic-tac-toe table we have building up over here. Apparently, because of this agreement from the Cold War, there could be multiple military bases that are put in there, and the United States can just start showing up. They could just start showing up. Now, obviously, you want to have a little bit of cooperation there, but I bet you any money that this gets done one way or another. Maybe there's a way for Greenland to save face. I don't know, but there's that. Here's something else for you that I think should kick things off with Lindsey very nicely. Mamdani, Zohran Mamdani, the smirking loser from New York. He went out there to show everybody just how, where the hell is it? He went out there to show everybody just how much of a regular guy he is. And he pretends to be a man of the people by filling in a pothole. And there he is. You can see he's patting down the asphalt. Amazing. He's got a shovel in his hand. He's got some gloves. Look at that. Good Lord. I bet you any money from that one pour, that one shovel, the patting, his hands are probably blistered to no end. Blisters all over his hands. No doubt about it. Hands are blistered. And I got more on that. But before we do that, because a lot of this has to do with psychology of not only just everybody, what's happening at large with all of our friends out there in the world, but especially in our own country. Let's bring in Lindsey Scharmyn. Hold on. She's coming in a second. So as you all know, ladies and gentlemen, Lindsey, she's been on with us for years as a guest. She's a teacher. She's an author. I actually have some of her books right here in my official studio bookshelf. I'm very proud of them, living right there. Then and artwork, everything you can imagine. The host of Rogue Soul podcast, where she explores consciousness, spirituality, conspiracy, the paranormal, and topics of personal empowerment. She also has become, like I said, a resident book club co-host of the month of August for the last 3 years. We have read Devil in the White City, Never-Ending Story, The Body, and this August, Lindsey, we are going to be reading Shutter Island. Good to have you back.
Hey, Frank, I love being here with you and your amazing audience. Thanks for having me back.
They are amazing, aren't they?
They are.
They are.
We have the best audience.
I really enjoy them. Boy, if you report on paranormal and social contagion themes, it's like shooting fish in a barrel right now, isn't it? What's your impression of just the news lately?
Oh God. I mean, it's always mind control, right? I mean, it's never not mind control. It's programming for a reason. They've got their agenda. They know how to have like the moving images and the right flashes and times to get you into the brain waves that are lowered so that you can become your like, goop of programmable matter that gets just like tossed at ice agents whenever they decide, right?
I mean, think about what it means. How low vibration you are to not only be face to face with federal agents and you being unarmed, but to actually think that there's going to be a favorable outcome to even touching one of their weapons. That guy is so lucky that was loaded with pepper. I swear.
Yeah. No, it's like we've lost this complete ability to understand and rational just life, right? I mean, like you would not go up if it were two groups of people who weren't law enforcement at all and they were at odds with each other. Like you wouldn't get up and get and like grab someone's weapon and like get because you'd be like, well, that's a dangerous situation. I'm gonna, get my but for some reason, for some reason that we're talking about tonight, people have become the naive children that have no idea what consequences are, that have no idea how to gauge a situation. They're lost in some fantasy world. Like I genuinely wonder how many of them are running these scripts of like what they've seen in movies, right? They're like, oh, just going to go in there. It's going to be like this. I'm going to put it on my Instagram. Like, I'm going to be a hero. And, it's playing out in this way. And they have their ideas of what they think the rules are supposed to be. People are like, no, he can't shoot her. I'm like, oh, he can. We don't like it, right? I don't want someone to get shot in the head. They're clearly a stupid person. It's sad. I don't know their IQ. I don't know what their mental illness level is. It's sad. But obviously he can.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you put yourself in this situation, you're basically asking for it, right? And people are just arguing about it. Oh, it's not allowed. Oh, it's very allowed. We're just looking at legally. Like, what are the standards, right? But nobody knows what standards are because we got rid of all those. But we have them still to some degree in law. And he said, what are the standards? Did he fear for his life to a reasonable degree? It's very reasonable to fear for your life when a person who is antagonistic to you and is not responding to your commands is in a car that is a deadly weapon now, is accelerating in any direction. That's reasonable. And we don't have to like that, but it's true. So in any fair sort of sense, if we're putting this through the legal system, that person's going to get exonerated.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's just the case. But like we don't have this ability to just think that. People want it to be, what do I like? What would make me happy to say? What do I think the rules should be today? What suits me, right? And that's all somehow what they're going off of. That's how they're living their lives. It's completely divorced of rational thought, logic, reality.
You see, what you described right there may sound like an individualistic approach, what I feel, what I think, but it's not, of course, because we're talking about something that is a lot more of, like people have called it in the past, myself included, a hive mind. And I wanted to read you something. I think this works great. I just showed a really cheesy video of Zohran Mamdani shoveling some asphalt in New York City. And of course, he was just quoted as saying, I think on his inauguration day, about how the frigidity of individualism is going to be traded for the warmth of collectivism. This Marxist, very, very classic chicken in every pot kind of a bullshit thing to throw out there to people who seemingly have had their ability to think rationally, their common sense faculties destroyed in some way. And I want to read you a little something that came from this Zero Hedge article that I think is really hits some things on the head, but also opens up some topics for discussion I think you'd really excel at. So here it is. Let me get you up on the screen with me. This is why they're talking about individualism versus the collective. This is why the term individualism is too limited to describe how freedom works. It was a fine slogan for Cold War purposes, but it does not work as a defense of the kind of society in which we want to live. The new mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, stated in his inaugural address that he would reject the frigidity of individualism for the warmth of collectivism. His comment revived his old language and led a flurry of memes about terrible history of communist and socialist experiments. He got a grilling for that remark, but what troubles me the most is the language here. The alternative to collectivism is not frigid individualism, but the infinitely complex social arrangements that come with freedom itself, which involves not just individuals, but a multiplicity of spontaneously evolved community relationships and multiple responsibilities. Indeed, the vision of Alexis de Tocqueville is that the essence of America, this is what it's all about. And I said, oh, okay, we're onto something here. Sociologist Robert Nisbet explained further that a freedom that depends solely on individualism is not likely to survive an assault by the state or other powerful institutions. Rather, we need what are called mediating institutions to serve as a kind of bulwark against the encroachments of power. We need schools, we need churches, civic relationships, coherent communities, robust families, as well as a thriving commercial sector that combines heroic individuals and group relationships. And I had, we talk about that, and obviously it all fits together. But as far as that being articulated, Lindsey, I think that is that's so great, because we wax poetic about liberty and empowering the individual versus the collective and breaking up centralized power all the time. But once again, I mean, this adds a whole other necessary layer to it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's actually beautiful. This is something I've been railing on for a long time now, is self-responsibility for one, right? I mean, literally, just take responsibility for yourself. It's like a radical thing in this world. We are not encouraged to do that at all. But being an adult requires that you do, right? You take responsibility for your feelings, for your actions, for your thoughts, for your speech. Like, you take responsibility for your mental health. You take responsibility for your triggers, for anything. It's all you. You take responsibility for this. That's the opposite of what we're encouraged to do in this modern age. But it's what's needed. And then the other side of that is, seeing beyond yourself to something that is greater than yourself, which for a lot of us is spirituality. I'm a spiritual teacher and healer. Like, that's my big thing too. But on a much more, personal, like intimate to people who can, no matter what our religious or spiritual beliefs, it's the family, or it's the community, or it's the nation. And we have these really bad tastes in our mouth for a lot of those things. A lot of people, and I don't think your audience does, right? But in general, in our society, a lot of those things have been sort of like programmed to be looked at as negative or bad, or something of this old, like stodgy, like white male dominant sort of stuff. And so we reject the family and reject the community, and we live for ourselves, and we're independent, and oh, look at me, I'm like wearing a peacock hat or something, just like whatever it is, and like our fierce individualism. And it's like, you can actually do that better when you have a strong sense of community and commitment to it, right? When you have a family and you're saying, yes, my family is actually the thing I'm living for, that actually allows you to be even more of an individual, truly, right? An actualized individual who understands themselves deeply and takes responsibility for themselves. So it is both things. I actually wrote on my Substack recently, I did this deeper dive into 1984. And of course, it's anti-communist. And of course, 1984 is, asking us to watch out for surveillance states and all those things. But I got more into that side of it that's almost never looked at and almost never taught, but is actually, I think, Orwell's like main point in the book, which is that if we don't live for each other, we fail automatically, right? We fail. And that the whole thing about like betraying each other, and he betrays Julia, and he's like, all of this stuff comes back to that if you had a strong family, if you had a strong community, if you had a strong sense of commitment to that, then you would have more strength in yourself, and you would be more of an adult, and you'd be able to withstand if they had some rats on your face, Winston, like, grow up. Like, God damn it.
I know. And I just pulled this quote up in my head just the other day about Thomas Jefferson. And I said, one of my favorite Jefferson quotes is, in matters of style, swim with the current, and in matters of principle, stand like a rock. And you can apply that in the way that, what's being said here. You brought up the peacock hat. A lot of people who fancy themselves progressives or liberals, their roots only go as far as the peacock hat. Their roots only go as far as their skin. What are the superficial things that make you what you think you are in the mirror, instead of what grounds you much deeper than that, while the the matters of style, which is the peacock hat, is something you can, okay, you're flamboyant, you're goofy, you go out there and you like attracting attention to yourself. But as far as your principles, as far as your root goes, that's something else entirely. And all of those things are written about in this Zero Hedge thread about, what is really needed to make individual work, or else you just spurg out and you are just essentially a bottle rocket without the stick. Here's two more lines about this, because I know that this is going to speak to a lot of the things you've seen as a teacher. Nisbet warned that individualism without community leads to alienation, psychological insecurity, and the growth of an overweening state, precisely the opposite of genuine liberty. Quote, "It is impossible to understand the massive concentrations of political power in the 20th century unless we see the close relationship that prevailed between individualism and state power." Quote, "The abstract, autonomous individual does not exist, nor can he ever exist," he wrote. "True individuality thrives within social relationships and groups, not in social vacuum." Now, I mean, you could play devil's advocate like this and try to read that sentence as a leftist, and it might mean something different to you than somebody who wants to be able to. I don't know, but give me your thoughts on that one, because alienation is something I think a lot of people are feeling right now.
Yeah, it's true. Well, it's like you said, if it's performative and it's shallow, then it's not going to last, right? And if it's not going to last, then you're going to find yourself empty still at the end of it all. So you're like, look at me, I'm trans, look what I did. Oh, but now that my boobs are gone, now that my penis is gone, like now what? Everybody who cared abandoned me. You see this really sad, right? And all the detransers talk about it, and the people who haven't quite gotten there yet won't talk about it, but they're living through it. But they got all the attention when they were being really performative, and they were gonna, oh, look at me, and here's this, now I'm going to this appointment, and this, and they're getting all the cheers. As soon as it's done, that all disappears. Nobody cares anymore. You're not fascinating anymore. All the stuff that was worth paying attention to is like done now. So what now? Well, now you're still the same person with the same depressions, anxieties, whatever, but there's nothing left. But like if you had gone beyond this like shallow, what do I look like? Like what can I perform for other people? Which, by the way, is a very childish thing to do. We watch kids do it. We don't look down on them for it because it's a stage. But if you never leave that stage, like there's a problem there, right? But if the kids will be like, oh, I'm so random, or I'm a Sagittarius, or I'm da. It's like, right? They want to perform for you. They want to see how it lands. They want to see what they get back, right? Well, we're supposed to grow out of that. But if we have something deeper than that we found is lasting, which again can go towards spirituality, religion, but like much more immediately, it's our family, it's our immediate community. It's like the people we go to the bowling league or the baking league or whatever it is, and we show up for, that lasts beyond any of those performative, shallow, image-based, sort of identity-based things. We talk about this when, political division is coming up. People are like, disowning each other because they voted for Donald Trump or they voted for Biden or whatever. And they're like, you're not my family anymore. And it's like, well, that's the person who birthed you, or that's the person who helped you move, or that's the person who's going to have the money they can loan you when you need it. Like, those are the people who matter in your life. And you're going to cut that off for something, again, so it's relatively like shallow and for a performative reason. So you can post it online and say, look what I did. I don't even have this family member anymore.
I know, but okay. Here's you can now see it now that we're so much farther down the rabbit hole, is that person you could have gone to and said, hey, listen, I'm down on my luck. I'm really trying to make this project of mine work out. I need a loan. I need something. Those relations, those people you can go to, perhaps. What that has all been replaced by the state. I mean, we were just reading the Festivus report. We were reading the Festivus report, one of the last broadcast nights of 2025, and of course, the deeper you go in there, the more you uncover millions of dollars for these obscure these obscure programs that are there to be able to help very, very strange definitions of people. What they have to be a certain kind of non-white, a certain kind of sexuality, and a certain kind of artist, that they're going to have all of these grant monies to get them afloat. You know, it's not that there aren't starving artists of all kinds around the country right there, but we know that the plight of the non-white bisexual starving artist from Seattle, whatever, they need this more than the white guy who has been painting his entire life and nobody wants his art. This is the kind of shit where even that is a power and a responsibility that an authority that government then just concocts for itself. You know, state power, if you think about how much state power has grown in the last 10 to 15 years, just in the pursuit of trying to affirm aspects of people's identity. I mean, it's crazy. And of course, the opposite of that is people who are so rooted in their families and their communities that they don't need Washington, D.C. So it always comes back down to that. And that's usually the play. Let me ask you this. Because you and I were talking a little bit about what I like to call altruistic suicide, what you call deadly compassion. It's a theme for tonight's show. And when I listen to like statements coming from the Bolshevik mayor from New York, it makes me, think about you as a educator and what does that baseline programming look like? Give me some examples of baseline programming for children in school, like how the socialist worldview that in itself is very childlike, as it is. But what are some of the more nonverbal ways that children are prepped for this kind of intellectual surrender so early on? Is it like, are they shamed into sharing everything that they're playing with to downplay even healthy feelings of entitlement to property ownership or something like that? Like, I want to know a little bit more about the things that are happening in classrooms in nonverbal ways with kids who can't just be propagandized with words because they're not old enough to really understand what the words mean.
Yeah, well, it's a great question. And some of it doesn't sound very pretty to people, but it is true. And one of those things that's, become sort of the norm that wasn't before. And maybe we can find a happy medium and that'd be better. But it's inclusivity, right? And so the idea that like any person, no matter what the situation is, should be included. And so you might have a classroom, for example, full of kids, and then one of the kids is violently lashing out and will throw things and scream and like have a fit 4 times a day. Well, that kid has to be included too. So, oh, well, too bad for you guys. Here's this kid. Right. And someone else would say, well, yeah, that is compassionate. He should be involved or she should be involved. And, we need to find a way for them to and whatnot. And it's like, well, maybe, maybe, but there might be a better way. And also, is it okay actually to sacrifice, let's just say, the rights of all the other kids to have a safe and rational learning environment? Sacrifice all of that just so that kid might maybe feel sort of included and accepted. We don't actually know that they will or not. That kid may or may not feel that. It's not actually even ever measured or talked about or anything. Is that we feel bad if he's not included. We think that he'll feel better. And so let's have him in there, even if all the other kids feel worse. They might feel worse. They might feel less safe. And it's a different thing to say, hey, yeah, we accept people of all abilities and all, disabilities and all sorts of, we don't make fun of them and we don't stare and we don't, whatever. That's all cool too. But you don't have to go all the way to the other extreme where you say, no matter what it affects, how it affects everyone else, no matter what disadvantage it gives everyone else, we're going to make sure this is right. This includes. Yeah. So the whole inclusivity thing is one big aspect of that. And another aspect of it is we're all supposed to be the same. Right? We're all here together. If that person's struggling and that person's really advanced, oh, well, they're going to be in the same place at the same time, no matter what. Right. And we're all going to make sure that like, we're going to change the grades or the star system or the response system to whatever you're doing so that everyone just feels good, which gets to the point where it's like, well, nobody even knows what's good. What is good? What is better than bad? What's better than not, right? Like, what are the ranks? What are the standards? Well, we don't have any because it makes some people feel bad. Like, that's suicidal empathy for sure. You can't even say what something actually is or isn't because someone somewhere might not like it very much.
I mean, you must have seen the director of Tenants or something like that from New York. This woman, her name is Sia or C Weaver or whatever the hell her name is. A real crone like weirdo and self-hatred. That's what I pull up, especially when it comes down to race issues. This woman was quoted as, and when held up against some of the things that she's published online over the years about how white people need to be, essentially raked over the coals and they need to lose their property and that's it. That we need to retrain people into what property ownership really is. We have to get rid of the individual and embrace the warmth of the collective out there in New York. They talk like they're going to be there forever, like a mayoral administration lasts for 50 years, or like this is France where you can be Macron and have already had 10 years in office or something like that. But where does the spite come from, especially with white liberal women? They are so filled with spite especially in they love in the pursuit of making things equitable, slapping wrists and making people feel bad, especially when it's white people. It is delivered with such self-loathing. Where does that come from?
I mean, it's a psychological issue. These people are not well emotionally or mentally, and you could trace it back for 100% of them were either you can be sure abused in some way or neglected in some way as a child, maybe immediately in their home, maybe also just deeply made fun of or taunted or whatever on the schoolyard or something like that, weren't popular and hated it. I mean, these are people who have deep unhealed wounds and so they're lashing out about it. The other thing is they're almost always deeply fearful people. So, you might see someone who doesn't really hate person. So you're privileged, and they don't have the guts to say, hold up, no, you don't get to lump me in with a group. You can talk about something I've done or said specifically, or you can leave me out of it, right? I'm not representing the entire white race today or whatever it might be. They don't have the emotional, mental, verbal, maybe even capabilities to do that for themselves. And so they crumble under it instead. It's safer instead to say, oh yeah, you're right. Oh, my white privilege, so bad. But now I also see how I can abuse other people with this too. I can have this identity that keeps me safe from that sort of attack socially. And also then I get to perhaps hold something over on the people who I perceive to have wronged me in the past in some way. And this is why it's so important. I always bring it back to self-responsibility. If you heal yourself, the world's going to be a better place. You're not going to fall into traps like these. You're not going to make mistakes like these. You're not going to make things worse like that. And then again, this connection to community, to family, and all of that is going to keep you somewhat grounded too. Because if you do come back and you're like, hey, this is what happened at work, someone might be like, hey, maybe you can just talk to this person about it, or right? But you don't have those sorts of connections. You don't have that sort of healed self. And now you're confronted by this. And so you fall under it. I mean, people are often very traumatized, unhealed, weak,
you can tell.
Reactive. Yeah.
You can tell, especially because of especially when we talk about the female liberal aspect of it all, histrionic beyond belief. I mean, everything.
Cluster B.
No, it's
max.
it's insane. And I can see that rejection of your background, your home, your community, and all that stuff. That probably feeds into the willingness to erase you don't think that anybody has any misconceptions about what endless immigration or migration really means for a country. Like they have to know that they are contributing toward the erasure of the country we learned about in history class throughout our childhood. They have to know. They can't think in any way, shape, or form that country is in some way being preserved and or improved upon. They do know that this is an erasure, right?
I don't think so. No. I mean, I used to be one of them. I was a raging communist too, and I did not consider everything for sure. And one of the things I was acting out of was this fear that I would go back to the time, and this is all unconscious, by the way. I'm not sitting there thinking this logically through, right? But this is how healed people are. They're reacting out of their unconscious. And I had a fear I would go back to the stage of my life where I didn't have enough and people had power over me and I didn't know if I'd be safe from it. Right. And so all of that's coming up and like, okay, if we're collective and everybody gets a house and everybody gets food and we're all together and we have each other and that feels safe. Right. When once I got to the rational part where I was like, hold up, like whose food and whose house and like who's dispensing all of this and like what happens to the people who don't want to do this and oh we force them or we kill them or we put them in re-education camps. I'm like, whoa, okay, no,
gotta balance,
right?
the books.
Yeah, I'm out. But like this is it's all emotional, it's all unexamined, deep, like subconscious reactivity of this need to feel safe. And you have this false idea of who your enemies are, right? This false idea, like there just is one unified class of people who are wealthy and it's them that's to blame for all your problems. It's not your alcoholic father or that kid who is just a bully or, it's not none of that. It's the system that's your enemy, right? And it's like, okay, well then sure, what do you get when you dismantle all of this? Well, we actually have historical examples over and over and over, but no, nobody wants to look at those. They have to dismiss them outright, or else they'd have to face the fact that they're not actually on the right side of history.
Well, then here you're one of the lucky ones then.
Yeah.
Amen. And now when you think about the news from just today in Minnesota, which is it's nothing that would really shock you. I have to imagine that most people are just waiting for something like this to pop off again because people are just laying in wait. They're not thinking, they're getting ready to react. They've been shown that reacting violently to things, even when there is evidence, especially in a court, when there's evidence that is, think about what was done in Ferguson on behalf of Michael Brown and everything in court that you could have waited for to see what had happened, from the body cam footage to it was just, it's ridiculous. But it didn't matter to people. That's the whole thing. Actually, the body cams probably was a result of that largely. I think that liberals, if they can go back to 2014, they would want to stop themselves from asking for body cam footage because it has really not helped them ever since then. But still, anyway, that was that made me realize, oh, okay, so we're not really going to be able to get through to anybody, and there's no way to really calm people down. So my question to you is, where do you see this going as far as when I watch debates, for example? I've watched plenty of debates over the last couple of years, and it's clear that especially when a Marxist is involved, they think that they're playing chess, and but in reality, they're not even playing checkers. They're playing tic-tac-toe. Whereas, like, if you lay down an X, they're just going to lay an O next to it, and just that's it until you change topics and you lay down another X and they're going to lay down another O and call it a tie. Nobody got any. There's a reflex to simply block and protest and demand the opposite of whatever their opponent has asked. So I don't know where the hell you go. I mean, what do you do when you're a rational person and your country, your culture, your birthright is being flushed away by people who seriously cannot reason? What does that mean? That's why I'm saying up in Minnesota right now, hey, you want to analyze the driver, you want to analyze how the cop reacted, you go right ahead. The real thing I want to see right now is what precedent is going to be set about how everybody in the community is going to be allowed to react. Because over the last 10 years or so, it has been, go ahead, you have a green light to just cause mayhem. And I don't know, I wonder about our response from here on in. What do you think?
What's crazy too, because we know if you've been in conspiracy long enough, you're like, wait, where did all the weapons that shut down crowds go? Like we've got them.
Yeah,
they exist. Nobody's used them in a long time. Do we bring those out? I don't know. And again, I'm not saying I want it to necessarily be that way. I don't want the state to have all this force and control, but we've been subverted for such a long time, potentially at least by foreign hostile nations that have, access to, unfortunately, our education and our infrastructure and our media and TikTok even, and all of these things that have pushed all of these ideologies, and we've had these funding mechanisms as well that ideally are being shut down via like, the sort of Doge-esque sort of governmental stuff, and the fraud that's getting shut down. It's like that's all a self-reinforcing, communist sort of loop of funding, Act Blue and all of that stuff. They're like, hey, Somalis, like, we'll give you all this money for free, but you're going to give us back 35 million of it so we can get these people elected.
Exactly.
What, right? So ideally that's being taken care of. It seems like there's some people who understand like China's influence on TikTok in our education system, perhaps, and potentially Russia or whatever, but these sort of narratives and these sort of methodologies that lead to exactly what we're seeing. Ideally, those are being addressed, as well as a lot of people are just pulled out, right? They're like, I'm not sending my kids to these schools anymore. And that still takes time. That still all takes time. But in the meantime, if you're at least sort of like aiming in these right directions, and ideally, we're also getting our elections under some sort of wraps via shutting down the Venezuela Smartmatic, like backdoor stuff.
One can hope.
We can hope if that happens. And then also, the voter ID and mail-in and all that stuff. Like if all of that could happen, we definitely have a major chance. Because, part of it is that these people who are doing this are not the majority. They're not. They're loud, and media amplifies them. Social media amplifies them. And so they seem like they have a lot of them. There's not that many people. There's a lot of people who are emotionally ready to sort of be in that reactive cluster B, all of that stuff, but they're not actually the majority. And so the majority of people are either opposite that or don't care about any of this, right? And they're just sort of normal. There's a small little bit that are being used and weaponized by these forces via those, vectors of media, education, et cetera. And so we actually can do something about it. And yes, we're always going to have people who aren't super smart. We're always going to have people who aren't emotionally well or healed. That's always going to be a thing that society has to deal with. But if they're not empowered, right, and if they're not artificially sort of propped up and loudspeaker, then we have a good chance.
Oh,
We've dealt
yeah.
with it our whole existence, right? It's just this is a very strange time where the child has been crowned and is seemingly conquering.
If they keep sending out Somalians to do public relations, this is going to be a lot easier to accomplish something, because you want to talk about just not very bright. I don't know if those were the best of the best in the community out there, but that was
Yes.
that was sad.
It is sad.
Yeah, you mentioned cluster B personalities a little bit more. I know that histrionic personality disorder is in there as well, but can you give everybody and myself a little bit of a refresher of what the entire cluster B personality grouping is?
Yeah, it's the biggest problem of our life, of our society right now. And so, yeah, the histrionic is in there, as well as the personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, which is generally somebody who is so deeply sure that 100% of people are out to get them, that they're going to consistently manipulate, attack, undermine in very subtle and advanced ways sometimes. So sometimes it's hard for people to realize they've been being used and abused and manipulated and like never allowed to just be themselves. And, then you get to the narcissists, and then the sociopaths, and then eventually the psychopaths. So that's kind of like the progression there. And histrionics, right? They're just lashing out, they're screaming, they're loud, they're whatever, they're very performative. But the personality disorder brings it in a little tighter, and they'll like set traps for you, right? Like here's a really excellent example. There's people who are transing, right? And so they were women, and now they have trans, and now they're men. And I have a very personal story where a now white male is in like a board meeting, and their fellows are like, oh, you're abusing your white privilege, your white male privilege is showing now. And that's very personality disorder-esque. Like, I will use against you this thing that is already vulnerable and doesn't make any sense to control you, right? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You're like, that's a trans person. You're supposed to love and admire and just like uphold them, right? But nope, because now they're a white male, so their privilege has to be checked, right? You get beyond that to like narcissism, and now it's a little bit even more abusive and outright of like, you only do, feel, and say what I want you to. And I will abuse you in order to make you do it, mentally and emotionally, mostly, possibly in other ways. Our whole society is narcissistic abuse. You're either on the side of the narcissist and you're doing the abusing and controlling and manipulating, or you're the victim of it, and you're usually then going to be very codependent. And that feeds right into all of this as well. So people are broken and unhealed and don't want to be abused anymore. And so they just go along and they're like, yes, I'll kiss your boots, or I'll say Black Lives Matter. Or what do you want me to do? I'll just do it. Right.
Yeah. Like MacGruber.
Yeah.
What do you, because you consider a lot of paranormal and supernatural, some of our first discussions, we have to crack open that can again at some point. But I love talking about spooky situations and themes like demonic possession. And one term that we have discussed in the past is something that was popularized by Malachi Martin, who we've been diving into on this show, and we have another conversation that we're going to be having on him in later on this month, is the concept of perfect possession. And perfect possession is this, it's essentially the final, most terrifying stage of where a person's like soul fully merges with a demon. There is a decision that was made. There is a relationship, a communion that is absolutely 100% chosen and embraced. They have abandoned any and all resistance to the possessing spirit, and they become willing partners, where essentially salvation is impossible at that point, because there's no, I've made my choice. Where do you think that plays with all this stuff? Because you know, a lot of what you've described seems like it just could be the very, I don't know, very reasonable end to an abuse cycle, and everybody's going through something, and people don't even need an abuser right now to lose their minds. I think just our relationship with social media and everything else that is on the internet that people can get addicted to can really start screwing with you in that way there, and you lose sense of reality. But where do you think the perfectly possessed lay in this? Are they more on the controller types, or are they on every level of society?
Oh, if you're going to get perfectly possessed, you're going to be used by the evil ones for great power, right? I mean, that's not going to be just a kind of standard bystander who's going to, right? They're going to get up there into the placements of power for sure. Perfect possession is terrifying, because you can only save someone who wants to be saved, and the perfectly possessed don't want to be saved. So that's why it's not like they're abandoned by God, right? It's like there is nothing anyone can do. You take that back to a very practical place, and you know this whenever we talk about addiction, or right, if you've ever done any 12-stepping of any kind or know anyone who has, you say that like you have to want to, right? And it's true. You have to want to improve. You have to want to quit drinking. You have to want to heal yourself. You have to want to take responsibility. In order to do any of the things that are good, true, or beautiful, you have to desire them first, right? And if you don't, nobody can do anything. And this is why you can't force people to learn. You can't force people to heal themselves. You can't force them to do better. You can't put them in a re-education camp and make them, right? You can't do any of those things. And it's the same thing. It's just it's not as extreme as the perfect possession, but it's the same principle, which is that it's your will, right? You have free will. And so you get to choose your own adventure in this life. Unfortunately, you can choose to be possessed, and you can choose to do the will of Satan or of evil. And a lot of these people don't know that they're being used. And this is the sad thing, but this is why we always get pointed back to, like, what are the sins and what are the virtues, right? If you look at the sins, these are the things that are used against you in order to make you fall, make you weak, or make you pliable, and make you a puppet, whether it's intentional, whether people are looking at it spiritually or not. Right? You're like, I have pride, so I want to go be the one who confronts the ICE agent so I can snap it and put it online. Right? There's your pride, right? Like, it's going to be used. It's going to be absolutely, used. You're going to be the puppet, right? And so all of these things are our weakness. And this is why, again, bring it back to like that the healed person is unstoppable. Like the healed person is the best tool of God or the angels of the good or whatever you want to say, because you can't be used if you've addressed your pride and you've addressed all your failures, right? And you've healed yourself and you know your weaknesses and you know where you're likely to fail against. You've got people around you, or you've got your prayer, you've got things on your side to say like, yeah, I know I am, I know I've got some pride, so I'm going to ask for help with that. And right, you've got some humility now, and like that's how you cannot be used as a weapon. And all of this is intentional. The media has been used in this way. Education's been destroyed in this way. Childhood has been destroyed in this way, exactly to make these types of people who can be used as a weapon. But you don't have to let yourself be a weapon, but you have to do that work within yourself, right?
Very, very well said. It is very well said. That's why I definitely feel the same. And I've just been thinking about it a lot lately, because there's so much happening around us. We have to make a lot of choices, and you wonder where, what purpose am I serving? Sometimes one of the simplest prayers I just say is just, I just want to be where I'm supposed to be today. That's it. Just I almost want to be led, yes. and to feel that.
Evening, Frank. Hope all is well tonight, brother. Little extra hello to all the wonderful Franklies out there in the chats.
Well, thank you, Stowe Stu. I totally forgot I left that on, but that's always nice to be interrupted by a friend. Anywho, we got to talk more about this. You and I, we're going to be reading a psychological thriller together in August. We're going to read Shutter Island. So I hope we get more time to really start pushing these around. And you got to come back on more. So, yes. In talking about what we're going through right now, what we saw just today popping up in the news, it's sort of taking the pulse of what's going on in society. And now I want to talk to a little bit more about some proactive ways of going into the new year. And this is funny. I saw this the other day and I said, okay, I'm setting this aside. I'm going to use it for something. And then as I'm just looking at my notes today, I said, this is missing something. What am I going to, I need to do something else with Lindsey. What the hell is it? And then all of a sudden I remembered this reel that I had saw that is going to lead us into another video. The reel is a guy who's talking about how this year in 2026, we need to retard max. So retardmaxxing, he says, is going to change everybody's life. What is retardmaxxing, you might ask? Well, I'm going to play this for you right now, and we're going to just roll on this, okay? This is retardmaxxing will change your life. Take a listen to this guy. This guy, I think he has something going here.
It's so much better when you start retardmaxxing. So many people have so much potential that they leave on the table because they overthink everything. They're always in their own way. Once you start retardmaxxing, you just start acting and not thinking. Life gets so much better. Whether it's approaching that girl, whether it's starting this business, whether it's posting that video, start retardmaxxing and watch your life change. Life gets...
I love this. And I think that the people in this audience need to hear that too. What do you think about that retardmaxxing? Just extreme action, no overthinking, no second guessing, just go for it.
Now, here's what I'll say. If you are a healed person, that's actually good advice, because healed people probably have a more tendency to overthink and be like, what's this? And logic and like, right, all the pros and cons, and like, no, dude, just do it. Right. I always talk about how like I'm really good at just like taking the plunge. I'm like, yeah, that's terrifying and I don't want to do it. I'm just going to do it. Right. Like that's a little bit of retardmaxxing on the positive side. And then you put that in the hands of all of the deeply unhealed, potentially possessed, partially possessed, or affected by negative entities or whatever. And so, which is like a lot of people and all those people. And you say, just act, don't think. And like, whew, that's a lot of STDs. That's a lot of babies that could be born just randomly. That's a lot of chaos. Right. It's going to just happen. Yeah.
I think that's a great thing to put a little bit of a governor on this. Right. Is the premise is, have you already cleared out your attic? Have you completely, I don't know, assessed your baggage there, sorted through it, and gotten everything all out. You know, I guess that your starting point really means the world when it comes to retard-maxing.
For real. So you can retard max it in the right ways.
Okay.
At the right time.
So here's another thing that I wanted to bring up, and this is what we'll end with. Do you remember 10 years ago? It's going to be 11 years soon. You remember when Shia LaBeouf did the Just Do It motivational speech?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This became gigantic and a very, very popular meme. And now I said, I went and revisited it because it popped up somewhere. I said, I want to see the full video of this. And man, I went into the comment section, and this is another thing I said, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it after retard-maxing. And I want Lindsey to roll with some of this stuff here too. Now, this is only a minute and 5 seconds long. We're going to go a little bit in time here, just about 10 years, but 10 years makes a big difference if you're talking from the perspective of 2026. Okay? Think about 2016. 2015 is when this came out, really. So it's going to be 11 years soon. Huge. What the world was in 2015 is, it's an alien planet. It's like living on Jupiter. So
could have never seen it coming.
No, we could never have. Now let's just soak this in, and then we're going to go into the top comments.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
That right? Okay, listen, that last one. I know. Now, here's the thing. Again, 11 years gives you a lot of perspective. I mean, he bottomed out over the course of the 2 years that would follow this recording. You know, he did the "he will not divide us" thing with Trump. He crashed out big time up until, you know, where he took on the Padre P.O. role and became a very devout Catholic, and he seems to have turned his life around in a huge way. I'd love to talk with him. I really would.
Yeah.
And so in looking at this in retrospect, leading up to where he was really about to hit rock bottom, or maybe he wouldn't describe it as rock bottom, but still, what he says right here, listen to some of these top comments. Miko Own Hose says, 2015, funniest meme ever made. 2025, realest content ever released and biggest motivation. Arya Back says, 2015, haha, this guy's out of his mind. 2021, this is my only support system. Listen, 2021, you know, people looked around for their friends that they had around at their side their whole lives, and they just realized they're spending a lot of time alone. It was serious. I mean, I take that as less than half joking.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Duckadence says, if you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. That had 11,000 likes right there. 8 years later, it hits different. He was way ahead of us. I don't understand how this could be so funny and so motivational at the same time. This wasn't in our recommended. We all searched for this, somebody said. And 2025 meme. 2020, this actually makes sense. 2025, this is all I have now. Anyway, what do you think about that? Especially since this is now a time capsule meme that has really, it's not a meme anymore. It really is. It's a moment.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing because you could see that intensity that's coming off of him, and it's like, if you know, there's probably some abuse buried under there. So like,
a lot.
He would be a child star, who knows what, right? So yeah. And then so you see that and you're like, wow, but then like this is the mentality you have to get through your trauma as well, right? Is like, I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna give up. Like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna heal. And sometimes you have to treat yourself in that same sort of way where you're like yelling at yourself, like, no, you're not gonna stop, right? You're gonna keep going right now. Because the easiest thing to do is to give up. But the hardest thing and the best thing is to keep going. And man, it's sad that that's all some people have is Shia LaBeouf screaming at them. But dude, why don't we actually have more? Shouldn't our whole society be like sort of like, yeah, we're all humans, we all struggle, we have health issues or family issues or personal whatever, and yeah, we need to like keep going, we gotta be motivated about it, we gotta not give up, like it's good to have good habits, like sometimes I look at some of the affirmation-based children's programming that is not mainstream. I don't know if you know that. I think it's like Snoop Dogg's kid or something, but she's this little girl and she's like does motivational songs and stuff. And I'm like, most adults need to hear this actually. It's great if we get it in for the kids, but like most adults actually need to hear that it's okay to be themselves and it's okay to make mistakes and that they can do better and they'll try again and everyone will still love them. Like, I don't know that they know that, unfortunately. So Shia LaBeouf, motivational teacher.
Yeah, well,
let's go.
it also brings us full circle to what we were talking about before with individuality and community, how an individual really can't actually truly develop themselves if they don't have a tether to something that is going to support them through it all.
Right.
This is the fact that some people said that this Shia LaBeouf meme, this 1 minute long video from 2015 has become their sole support system.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not all serious, but it's one of those things that you lean on, you lean on a good book, you lean on a good song.
We used to have that. We used to have community. We used to have connection. And now it's replaced with like Antifa, which isn't actually. Because if you don't do what Antifa wants, you're not Antifa anymore and they'll reject you in a moment, right? Whereas real community says, even though I don't agree with you politically, I'm here for you. Let's get through this together. Like, what do you need? Do you need some help moving? Let's do it, right? That's real community. And that's not what some of these are. But I actually wrote it in this article on my Substack about 1984. I'll read it if you want. I said, the real heart of the matter that Orwell wants you to hold on to is this. You are only as strong as your connection and commitment to your loved ones, your husband or wife, your children, your neighbors, and your countrymen. And once you give those up, you've given yourself up too. Every man and woman is weak. We are only strong together. And that is not a call to arms or to organize into affinity groups or Antifa cells. It's a call to return to the roots that have made every town, every state, every nation strong all throughout human history, the family. Your future depends on it. A simple chestnut, which is in the book, The Chestnut Tree Cafe, represents the abundance, prosperity, longevity, fertility, and hard work's payoff that all people used to work to create and celebrate together. May it represent the continuation of those energies within humanity's shared future so that we may all stand on strong roots, uncorruptible, and without end. We've lost it. It's been torn away, actually. Like we used to have it. We used to have churches. We used to have, like I said, baking groups and bowling leagues and all these things. And you didn't agree or like everyone, right? That wasn't the point. The point was we all live here together. We should probably be connected. We should probably know each other. We should probably be able to show up when someone, dies and bake a casserole or whatever it is. We should probably have that connection. And we're so alienated from that now. We have so little. We have connection to all these random people all throughout the world via social media. And none of that's real. Those aren't the people who are going to be there for you. And neither is Antifa, unfortunately. So I hope we go back to that. Like this has been something that used to be just deep in our fabric of being Americans. And we don't have it anymore. We have really empty institutions and really empty identity, performative, shallow, childish, lack of connection.
Well, guess what? I believe that we are going back to it. I believe we are. And I know that you're a very positive, forward-thinking person as well. And I know that you are full of hope and I know that just because we've read a lot of books, some of them deal with some pretty dark matter and other things are very hopeful and flowery and I just think that sometimes you just gotta It's like a dog that emerges from a bog. You just got to have a good shake off, and we're going to be doing a lot of shaking off. It's going to be messy, no doubt about it. But yeah, that reset will come as it always does. And I hope that if everybody out there, I would love to have you on the show before August, of course. But I hope everybody really goes back into the archive. If you are a member of the show, if you are a monthly sponsor, you have a exclusive link into all of the book club archives. It's another members only section on quitefrankly.tv. You have exclusive access to all that stuff. I think that you should definitely relive those book club sessions with Lindsey and I. Never Ending Story, Devil in the White City, the Body that we read last year, which was the material, the base material for Stand By Me. And we have another one coming up this August. So become a member of the show and read with us. It's going to be great to have you back. Lindsey, your link is in the description of the episode. Please give everybody a little bit of understanding of where they can find you on your show, what you have out there published, and what's coming next.
Yeah, I do a rundown each week of all of the news from empowered, connected, somewhat spiritual perspective. It's not all love and light. I'm actually very anti-pathologically love and light, but it is at least looking through the deception and looking to, what we can do about it in ourselves. And so that's always a little bit lighter take, at least, of the darkest things that are happening in the world. So I do that on Rogue Soul, and I also usually dive into various aspects of philosophy or religion or history or society or these types of things in my other episodes. So you can catch all of that on any podcast platform. You can go, I'm back on YouTube. Somehow they just reinstated that after 5 years or whatever. And so that's there. So for
what the hell? What got you banned?
I talked about, I guess, Pizzagate and COVID and I don't know, just anything, right? There's nothing I won't talk about. And so, every time I could be like, I have studies here. These are all this, everything I'm saying is completely legit, but they don't care. So yeah, that got deleted a long time ago. I never expected to see it back again. And there it is. So you can find that. If you want to follow me on YouTube, you can too, Rumble, other places. And then if you go to the site, Rogue Soul, you'll find all of the one-on-one sessions I do. So if you are looking to heal or step into your spiritual connection or go deeper into any of that, I've got classes and I've got one-on-one sessions I do with people. So no matter where you are, we can connect on that. All sorts of good stuff on the site. My books are there. So roguesoul.org is the place. And if you do want to read things like part of what I read you a second ago, you can follow me on Substack, rogueways.substack.com. I also link to it from the site if people want to just hop over there.
Rogue Ways, Rogue Soul. Lindsey Scharmyn, thank you so much for the time tonight. It's been great catching up with you.
Super great to be here with you, Frank, as always. Thanks for having me. All
right. And you guys will see her again. I can't wait for it. All right. So, hey, it's 8:15 and I'm going to be getting off at 8:45 because I don't want to give Matt Christensen a heart attack. It is tradition that I give him a heart attack by showing up for his 9 o'clock show at 8:58 and 45 seconds. I'm not going to do that to him tonight. So I'm going to open up the lines. We talked about a lot of interesting things. There's a lot of news that's going on. Call now. I scared myself. That's right. You call it now. 914-200-0269. The phones are open. The phone lines are wide open. That's right. What else do we say? And remember, I am giving away 4 Mercury Head Dimes, silver dimes, tomorrow, along with this Shart Survival Kit and a copy of my 2017 album with my band, Set the Charge. That'll be for tomorrow. So any super chat to go toward the show is going to get you entered into that giveaway. Tomorrow, we're going to draw a name. So go right ahead, and I'm going to read through those chats in just a second. 610, you're on the air. What do you think?
Well, I was just going to call and ask when Frank was going to have another baby, because he seems like he'd be a terrific dad, and he's mentioned his little girl a number of times, and I'm like, he should keep going, and just, somebody who's a fan.
Okay, you wanted to ask that of Lindsey?
Well, Frank.
Yes. You wanted to ask that of me? Do you know this is Frank?
Oh, yeah. Hi.
Oh, hi.
It's you. Gosh, isn't it wonderful?
Yeah, isn't it? That's a fantastic thing. Well, okay. Well, just to cut to it, all I would say is please just keep, I know everybody has something that they're always praying for, and I always ask people to keep me and my family in your prayers at home, and that's one thing that I would love for you to just keep us in your prayers for, because we would love our family to get larger, and the manual is not that long on how these types of things work. It's not even a page long, the manual. So there's nothing like there's no adjusting that needs to be made. But just keep us in your prayers. That's all I'd like, because that would be a great blessing. We are very blessed with what we have. Aurora is we considered Aurora a miracle baby to us. We didn't know if that was ever going to happen. So we're already playing with house money, but keep us in your prayers, because I would love to go through this again. I really would. And thank you.
You got it. And I have been praying for you, and I will continue to.
Well, you're very kind, and I hope you have a wonderful new year. Who is this, by the way?
I'm Becky Briggs.
Becky. Well, you have a very pleasant voice, and you sound like a very nice person. I hope I get to meet you one day.
Ditto.
Okay.
God bless you.
Take care. Bye. Well, there you go. Okay. Well, Joe Martinez, good to see you out there. This is on the super chat side of things. Isaiah Smith, 93, says Happy New Year. Same to you, my friend. Stowstube, evening, Frank. I hope all is well. Oh, that's what popped in on us when I was talking to Lindsey. John Sawickus over on Twitch just became a subscriber on tier 1. Good to have you. Revolution. Rev says, I love the shirt. Stu nods, all of you. Oh, yes. I forgot I had JC with me right now. My mom got me this for Christmas. She got me this for Christmas, and I opened it up, and I told her I loved it. She goes, are you sure? Are you mad? I didn't know if this was... Did you think, like, she was nervous? She thought I would feel it was blasphemous. I said, no, this is the perfect amount of blasphemy. I said, this is an acceptable amount of blasphemy. He knows that we're all stunads. So, and I'm included in this as well. All of you includes me. I hope you don't think that I'm excluding myself. I am one of the bigger stunads. So thank you, Chuck. Okay, Shotzi says, another great week of Quite Frankly, I'm in for the dimes. Yeah, you know what? Tomorrow is going to be great, because we've got Demon Hunters on the show tomorrow. That's who's on the show tomorrow for the 7 o'clock show. We're going to be on Badlands. It's going to be a great night. Demon Hunters is going to be on the show tomorrow. First time he's going to be on. Really, really interesting guy. He's got a lot of great stuff out there on the internet. And who's going to be Tardmaxxing in 2026? Give me a call, 705. What's up? Who's this?
Hey, it's Pete from Canada. How you doing, Frank?
Pete, how are you, my friend? Are you going to be Tardmaxxing in 26?
I've been doing that for about a year and a half. I'm not going to lie. I had to kind of disconnect. You know what happened. So
absolutely.
I think, yeah. So I think what's happened in Minnesota is a good example of some of the conversations we've had in the past, where when rhetoric meets the road, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of sad to watch how people can be twisted through rhetoric to be so obtuse to get into a situation like that, and that's the question you have to ask when people are telling you we need to go protest and this and that. When you get what you want, you have to ask, and then what, right?
Yeah.
And it's scary. It's scary to see what's happening right now, Frank. It really is. It really is. I have a couple of days off work, and I got your call to action on your overtime stream the other day. I think it was a coffee stream. So I'm going to do my best to put some videos together for you, right?
Hey, listen, I'll take it. First of all, thank you. I mean, you've already contributed. So you contributed the Deco scroller that we had tonight, all of the, quite frankly, like standby screens that I've been using. it's been Pete over here. He's just been so nice. Every once in a while, something pops up in my email. I was like, oh, this is cool too. I'm going to use this. But let me just say, everybody, again, there's so much that happens over the course of a 2-hour show. Please, if you're the type that is sitting there and watching any portion of a show every night, 15 minutes, you give me a night, whatever. In that 15 minutes, if something happens that says, that's why I love Quite Frankly, something that makes you laugh, something that made you spit your beer out, whatever the hell it was, if something poignant, funny, stupid, ridiculous, you don't even have to make the edit. Just write down the timestamp and send it to me, and I'll give it to a video editor, because who knows what that is taken from these streams could be the thing that pops off and has 500,000 views on one platform or another and brings another 5,000 regular viewers into the show every night. You guys could be the thing that helps us. That's it. I mean, we have the processing units. We have the people who can do the cutting and the scraping and all that stuff. Just give us some timestamps. I'm telling you, that's all it takes. If you're already watching, just keep a pen and a pad of paper there and write down the timestamp and say, Frank, you got to get this part. Even if it could be a short, it could be something less than 3 minutes. That's one category. It could be something between 5 and 12 minutes. That could be a medium length that people really love as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the greatest things you can do outside of not lurking this year is send us timestamps. I will pass it along to a video editor, and we can grow in massive ways. That would be fantastic. And thank you, Pete.
Yeah, I wanted to do more of those standby screens. I switched to DaVinci Resolve. It's different than Adobe, so it kind of put me on a learning curve for the last 6 months. But I'm going to try and get you some more media, man, because the way it works is, I'm trying to get out of welding, and so I want to get that portfolio made that'll get me a couple of clients. So, you're Frank. I've been watching you since 2018, man. 2018. We went through COVID together. We went through a lot together. So, yeah, I want to help out, man. So,
okay. Well, I'm going to try to help out the best I can as well. And thank you so much for the enthusiasm. That's all it really takes. Thank you, Pete.
For sure, man. Take care. Have a good night.
Take care. Tardmaxxing since a year and a half ago. Jim from Maine. What's going on, Zell?
Hey, Frank. Good evening.
Good evening. What's on your mind tonight?
Nothing. A wonderful guest. I caught most of that interview. She was terrific.
She is.
First time I've ever heard her. She brought up a lot of, great points about, the school system and, her point about inclusivity in a school. And then she was spot on with that. Working in the school district myself, the amount of screaming that comes from classrooms is incredible. From kids having outbursts, violence, and I just the other day I saw it happen in kindergarten. When she said the mixed population, you have these kids who are damaged, really damaged, and they're in the regular population, and what type of trauma does that inflict on the rest of the student body? Especially the younger students, if they didn't come from damage themselves or broken homes or really sad situations, they're experiencing their own set of trauma just being in the classroom, seeing things broken, thrown, kids being dragged out just due to behavior, and all the way down to the youngest grade. You see it. So I thought that was a great point by her. And
it's very disruptive. And for a kid, especially when you're talking about a younger person who is really just piecing it together on a social level. I mean, it's hard enough sometimes just to get used to being out and gaining a little bit of autonomy. Just in the way that you exist inside of a school, to have the responsibility to go from class to class and get there on time, to interact with teachers, to seek help on your own. There's a lot of things that you learn in school or just in any kind of setting like a school, and to have that disrupted by a lot of those kids that are damaged, that have special needs, whatever. It's intimidating, even if they're not really posing an imminent threat to you, like some kind of a violent threat. If there are problems there, real psychological problems. It could be very intimidating and uncomfortable, and there's nothing wrong with everybody getting special attention in specialized spaces, and that's just the way it used to be, and it's good for everybody, I think. You can't. What's the use in pretending that we're all playing on the same level? You know, AP kids were always whisked away. The remedial reading kids were always brought to some weird, strange trailer in the back. You know, it's. I mean, there's just a lot. Everything just wasn't what it was.
You know what they used to call over the intercom, right? Gifted and talented. You know, you know, you'd be dismissed, but you know they still have gifted and talented.
Right.
They just don't say those words. They call it GT. GT can be dismissed. They don't say those words out loud. They just abbreviate it.
Right. Exactly.
It's hysterical. And the other point you guys talked about the people that are being involved in these scenarios, putting themselves in harm's way, like this crazy situation in Minnesota. And they're almost like, you know, for one, she brought a great point about consequences. You know, like, what are you thinking putting yourself in this situation? You're a narcissist. You know, you want to put yourself out there, maybe get yourself on TikTok or whatever. But, you know, what are you thinking about that that these things aren't going to have consequences, that you put yourselves in harm's way, threaten an officer, and you're not going to get shot? That's going to happen. But you ever see the movie Weapons, Frank?
Weapons? Is that new? Weapons. Is that
Zach
new?
Krieger?
Did it just come out?
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Yeah, I'd say about a year old, I think.
No, I did not see it. I've heard a lot of people reference it with me, and but I have not seen it.
Yeah, it's a dark film, but it very much reminds me of these people almost being used in a way, spiritually speaking, to cause damage. And that movie has those parallels. If you see it, you'll get what I'm saying. Being weaponized, and it's a lot of occult in that movie, by the way. If you ever check it out, once you see it, you'll understand what I'm saying regarding to people being weaponized, which is hence the name Weapons of the movie, because people are weaponized in that film.
Well, I think my brother was the last one to reference it with me. He said that and something else he referenced. So it has been brought up, but I have not seen it. So maybe I'll watch it soon.
Check it out. You know, unsettling film for sure. You know, when you watch it. But I just wanted to comment on the interview. I thought she was great. First time hearing her, and I can't wait to hear her again. And I'm super excited. Shutter Island, I've never read the book. It's one of my favorite movies.
You guys.
Great film.
You and your brother are the reason why I have that book on my shelf.
My brother sent it to you, or did you get it?
No, I don't think he sent it to me, but okay. Either of you, one of you guys, are the reason why I have that book on my shelf, and I still have not read it, because you were referencing Shutter Island as the as a movie, and I don't know why I went. Maybe it was Frank that suggested the book, but I've had the book for a few years now, actually more than 5 years, maybe around 5 years or so, and I said, okay, well, you know what, I think it's time to read Shutter Island. I want the first experience to be the book. That'll be in August. And then we'll watch the movie adaptation right afterwards, probably that first week in September as part of the film club. We'll do a watch party. I can't wait for both of it.
It had to be my brother who mentioned that, because he read the book. I did not.
Yeah.
The movie is unbelievable. No spoilers, but that should have been the movie he won an Academy Award, an Oscar for, or Best Actor, or whatever award he won. He should have won it for that, not Revenant.
Okay,
in my opinion.
Well, then
anyway.
Well, yeah, listen, you're only getting me more excited for it. So I hope that you are going to be there for both the book and the movie.
When's that kickoff?
That'll be August.
Okay, yeah, man, that'd be something. Yeah, I'd love to be a part of that.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for the call.
Okay.
It's good to hear from you again.
All right, don't be late for your next show.
Oh no, I'm okay. I say
Okay.
that. I look down. It's 8:27, 8:28 right now. So it's okay. I've got about 15 minutes. It'll be 8:58 the next time I blink. Let me see here. August 2026. Oh shit. There's 5 Mondays in August. You know what that means? That means we get to spread out Shutter Island over 5 weeks instead of 4 weeks. That means we get to do just maybe that'll probably be about 75 to 80 pages a week instead of, I don't know how much it is. I don't think it's 300 pages. But that'll be good. We got 5 Mondays in August, the 3rd, the 10th, the 17th, the 24th, and the 31st, which means maybe we can just watch Shutter Island on a Friday night watch party on September 4th. That Friday night at 8:30. Oh, don't get ahead of yourself, Frank. It's only the 7th day of the year. You're talking about the 8th and 9th month already. September 4th, man, that was the night before the VIP event for the Jamboree. I was semi-shitting a brick. Like, what if they don't like me? What if it's hot in the studio? Everybody's ass sweat. There's no end to the ass sweat that night. It's okay. We all had sweaty asses. Let's see here. Minnesota. Let's get into the Rumble. Jay Semo says, please enter me into the raffle tonight. Oh, you're in, brother. You are in. Also on Rumble, the big announcement on Rumble today was that they have a new Rumble wallet. So I registered with a Rumble wallet. And if you are a Rumble user and you prefer to tip in crypto, Bitcoin, or whatever else, there's a new tip button right there on the page. And who am I to say how to contribute to the show if that's your bag? But I have a Rumble wallet. That was the big announcement today. Whatever. I'm good with it. Miss Maniac says, love, hugs, persevere always. Jay Semo says, Stu nods, I love that. Brings back memories. It should. Tommy Jekyll says, creeping through How to Think Like a Roman Emperor, and brought Robert Morrow Jr.'s book for Father Martin. I guess it's next. I have both those books. I have How to Think Like a Roman Emperor on my bookshelf. I would like to read that again. It's a great book on Stoicism. It is, if you never really jumped into Stoicism and Marcus Aurelius and all that stuff, it is fantastic. It's a great history lesson, and it also makes these philosophical arguments and concepts really easily digestible and applicable. I think, especially if you're a Christian, I think Stoicism combined with Christianity is like nuclear in effectiveness. I'm not nearly as stoic as I need to be. So there you have it. Mr. Wick just gifted 5 subscriptions to Quite Frankly over there on Rumble. Who is going to go and grab it? Oh, people. So 5 people were given subscriptions. Holy shit. Look at this. These are the types of people who are out there hanging out. On Pilled, it's like that as well. Okay, so the lines are still open. I'm going to go. I already did that. I hit the wrong thing. I scared myself every time I did that. Over on quitefrankly.tv, on Pilled, Big Chief Patriot says, I'd like one of those time-traveling dimes, please. You got it. I mean, there's 4. There's 3 here. There's going to be 4 tomorrow. We're going to be giving it away. Let's see who wins. Stephen and Laurie says, shart you not. Tomorrow is only a dime or 4 away. It's been a crazy day. Thank you, Stephen and Laurie. Vesper says, please give them their dimes a good rubbing, Frank. I'll rub those dimes before I send them to you. Rook Castle says, hi, Frank. Read the book Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland. As to the ice death, etc., these are pendulums that feed off of our energy and emotions. These are energetic structures that take on a life of their own. Protect your neck. Absolutely. Yeah, I hate even being an observer to all this stuff. I don't even understand. Like people like Nick Shirley. I'm telling you, one day they're going to. I totally understand why Tim Pool made the decision to just park himself in his studio and start doing a daily show. He was identified in the street after all those times on the Occupy trail and all that stuff. I understand it. Things are so much worse now than they were back then. Safety Net, thank you. Wonderful Wednesday Warriors. Swickley just donated some gold pills. Wonderful. Thank you so much for the gold pills, Swickly. Boys Blanc, Happy New Year, Franklies. Twisted Six says, happy day. Deansy says, picking up dimes, and I'm not even Jewish. Oh. I was waiting for that one. Let's see here. DX'd, thank you. NX17 says, Lindsey is a wonderful and articulate guest. Thank you for the great conversation. I knew it was going to be a good one. We'll have her back soon. The Sentinel says, great show, Frank. Lindsey is so based and does such a good job at explaining things. I look forward to her return, by the way, the active denial system for crowd control has a prototype, but not in the active force. Active denial technology produces a focused beam of directed energy to provide the joint force with an option to stop, deter, or turn back suspicious individuals with minimal risk of injury. Active denial is an intermediate force capability between presence and lethal force. I know, it's kind of like a microwave gun. Traveling at the speed of light. Oh, we're getting the breakdown here. Traveling at the speed of light, an invisible directed energy beam of radio frequency millimeter waves engages the subject, penetrating skin to a depth of only about 1/64th of an inch. That's deeper than that's more substance than Elizabeth Warren's Native American blood, or she won like 1/2000th of a Native American. This is 1/64th. That's not bad. The equivalent of 3 sheets of printer paper. This produces an intolerable heating sensation. It ceases immediately after the individual move. Yes. So there you go. Active denial. That's why I said we should just have active denial down at the border. But the whole point was leave the border open. Big Chief says, Tardmaxxing sounds like a channel on late night cable TV. You darn right. Yes. Molly Yardy says Tardmaxxing is also the theory of the only way out is through. Whenever I've embraced the idea, I have always won. I think we're going to have to do it. Swickly says, Frank, the fact that you are sincerely asking for God to put you in the right place, I think means that you're in the right place. Great guest tonight. Thank you. Well, that's a comforting conclusion that you've drawn. You know, I started really contemplating that. Our friend Barbara Yates, who's out there, she's probably listening right now. I was talking to her in Vermont in 2023 when I started drinking Keto Brainz. We're probably drinking Keto Brainz together. And I had to bring her, I actually had to drive Barbara back to one of the locations. I think when we all did the cold plunge, she had left like her phone behind or something like that. And I said, I'll take you back, Barb. And so we went over there and we were just, talking and grabbed her phone, took her back, but it was about 15 minutes of driving or something. And she was talking about that was one of like her daily affirmations, just asking God to put me where I'm needed. And I said, that's something. And you know why it hit me? Because I'm the type that's just like, okay, whenever I feel like things are chaotic, I clean everything. I clean the house, I clean the office, I clean the car inside and out. I clean everything. I clean my inboxes out. I start making lists. Okay, lists, everything's organized, checks. I'm ready to rock. I go take a shower. I shave, get a workout in. I check every box and I get ready for a relaunch. And I want to plot, where am I going? And what is the plan from here to break past this plateau or just do something fresh or whatever. It's all about planning and getting things in order. And that sounded so refreshing when Barbara put that so plainly to me about, Lord, put me where you need me today. How it wasn't about plotting a course. It was just opening yourself up and allowing yourself to be led. Now, the problem is, when you talk about sins and virtues, like Lindsey brought up, there are the sins and bad habits and all that other stuff are the things that clog the pipelines and the passageways to actually get that. Like, you know how I told you about Aurora had all of her Eustachian tubes and stuff like that clogged over Christmas break, and her ears were plugged, and finally they just popped and drained and is all gone, and you can actually hear, you know, some resonance in her voice again because it wasn't all stuffed up. That's what bad habits are really like, and that's why I hate when we get into bad habits or avoidance or whatever the hell it is. It's almost like you feel you lose resonance, and I feel distant. I feel distant. So to try to open yourself up to be led, it was very refreshing, as opposed to the mindset of taking the helm and just muscling your way through, white knuckling your way through everything. It was really refreshing to think about just flowing in that respect. So ever since 2023, and that little, I guess it was meant to be, I had to go take Barb to pick up find her cell phone that she lost. It was meant to be, because I have contemplated that conversation a lot in the last 2 going on 3 years. In September, it'll be 3 years. Rosie says, here's to a year full of retardmaxing and relaxing. That's the point. Retard max, relax, and retard max. Zoso dude says, count me in on those Mercuries, baby. I'm feeling lucky. Let's see. Sentinel, don't be gay. Marcus Aurelius, be gay in name only. If you were there for the flip side last night, Gyno, gay in name only. Put that down. Hashtag GINO, Gyno. Gay in name only. Safety net. We don't like you, Frank. We love you. Well, I love you, Safety net. All right, let's 840. Let's take a call. 840. It's King 40. What's going on, Santino?
Oh, how you doing?
How you doing?
I'm all right. Hey, listen, I'll make this real fast because I know you got to go. I would just like to go on record as saying I love chicks' ass sweat.
Of course. That's
that's all, really. I'm a pig, yeah.
Okay.
That's really all I had to weigh in on.
Well, okay. Well, I know that you like. I know you like it musky, and you've made that comment. Oh, yeah. You like a little musk. You made that comment before. Hey.
Oh yeah.
Where's your music video? You didn't send it to me yet.
Well, I'm still working on that, Frankie. I'm sorry it's taken a little longer than I expected, but you will be the first to get it as soon as it's done.
Okay. All right. Like I said, it'll be a flip side premiere, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too, my friend.
There you go. Take care. All right. Well, we got through this. We got with minimal damage. We got through that one. Oh, this is why some people have been able to bottle their sweat on the internet and sell it. Warrior Biatch on YouTube just became a member, a nugget. Well, guess what? There was somebody else. There's somebody else on YouTube who became a member earlier on today as well. And I tried tagging, let me see if I can, no, I probably can't get to it. But I know there was at least 2. Oh, wait, hold on. There's a couple of people. Rebecca Briggs, Warrior Biatch, and there was somebody else, guys. Earlier on today, if you just became a member, I just want you to know something on YouTube. You are a legit sponsor, which means you get opened up to all of the universal perks of membership. The same perks that are honored through Pilled membership, Patreon and Subscribestar, though Patreon and Subscribestar are where you can do specialty things like pen pals and all that other stuff. YouTube and those 4 things right there. And of course, directly through quitefrankly.tv, which Lauren and I made some adjustments to today. So what I would say is if you are a YouTube member, remember, email me, frank@quitefrankly.tv. Make yourself known. Say, hey, I just became a member. I'll double check you against all the member log and stuff. I want to make sure that I get your address so Lauren can send you a welcome package, that I can send your address over to Molly so you can get some Keto Brainz samples and you can get all these special discount codes for all of our sponsors and affiliates and stuff. Thank you so much. I really can't thank you enough. We need everybody's help. We all need to band together, and I need your help. And whereas my sponsors that I have are blessings beyond measure, 98% of this show, this is all audience driven. So if you love the show and you have the means, I would love to have you as a sponsor. So thank you so much. All right, I have to get off. Let me make sure I got everybody, though. Jay Britt says, awesome talk with Lindsey. Yes, we already got that in. Let me make sure I got this. Kobe Wan says, I'm in. Yes, you are. Kobe Wan's in. Stowe Soup says, I am just enjoying a flight toward the Pills goal for the day, Frank. Why the F not? Evening, Franklies. And then Stowe Soup sends a ship and says, challenge accepted and complete. This guy's, the Pilled people, they are built different. They are built different. But head over there right now. I'm going to be putting the chat, the flip side chat. If you want to see, you can go to Matt Christensen's channel right now if you'd like. We go live at 9:00. But I'm going to go live from the flip side right now and stay live, and you can watch a strange behind the scenes version of the lead up to Matt Christensen's show, where you hear me just talking to him beforehand, and then we go live. And you won't see him, but you'll see me, and it'll be like you're backstage with your friends, and that's the way it works. And then we'll follow up on this stuff tomorrow. We're gonna have some great time talking with our guests. I have some reels I wanted to do, but we don't have time for this. We don't. All right, fine. Just one reel. One reel. This is about the 90s. Let's go back to pre-2000s level of parenting, says one average mom. Here, we're pretending it's the 90s. I thought that this was funny. I sent it over to Lauren.
Okay, we're pretending it's the 90s, okay? You're living outside now. You don't come in.
Tonight we're gonna come in?
No, I mean you come in when you sleep, and you come in if you're bleeding. Otherwise, y'all are playing outside. We're pretending it's the 90s, and that's fine. Where's your brother?
I don't know.
Okay, that's good. That's like how it is in the 90s.
That's how it is. Where's your brother? I don't know. He's all doing his own thing. You know, that did bring me back, those sliced apples and peanut butter. That did bring me back. What's this? Sensitive content. This was sent my way. Tonight, we provide you updates on a damage after a car crashed into a house, injuring the woman who was inside. What? Well, let me watch it. Why this post is covered? We don't cover it. What the hell? Community standards? What happened? What the hell just happened? I wanted to see this. Lauren just texted me. He said, "Get off air." Okay. Why? Because I'm delaying, Lauren? Is it because I'm dragging my feet? I want to wait to see what she says. Get off air? Unless that's not good. All right, I'm going to get out of here. I'll see what the hell that means.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Thank you, everybody. I will see you in a little bit. I'll see you now. Come on over to the flip side. The link is in the chat room. Oh, Lauren said, hey, you're cutting it too close. You're just making me and Matt nervous. That's what it was. There's no emergency, everybody. My heart, I was like, oh man, do I have to leave the studio? What the hell happened? Get off the air. It's got me scared. Link is in the chat room.
Really went downhill after the World Trade Center. You know, Quasimodo predicted all this.
Who did what?
All these problems, the Middle East, the end of the world.
Nostradamus. Quasimodo's the hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, right. Nostradamus.
Nostradamus and Notre Dame. It's two different things completely.
It's interesting, though, to be so similar, isn't it? Then I always thought, okay, hunchback of Notre Dame. You also got your quarterback and your halfback of Notre Dame.
When's a fucking cathedral?
Obviously, I know. I'm just saying. It's interesting, the coincidence. What? You gonna tell me you never pondered that? The back thing with Notre Dame?
No.